Well, it's Fabric Tip Friday again, and I'm behind the camera this time. I'm just going to show a little trick when riveting or stitching or using PK screws on stamped ribs. I'm just going to show something that's going on in my shop, my personal shop. I usually have projects going while I'm running AirTech, and I'll just kind of follow along with what's going on in my shop on a lot of these videos to get started. This is a Rand's, I think a Ran 6 wing. A guy had repaired one wing, had been damaged. He repaired it and he wanted me to just cover it, prime it, and paint it. And I didn't figure it'd take a couple days to knock that out. And it's got a few things I can show some tricks on. I'm using what a lot of the guys with the Rans, this thin plastic as a reinforcement, just because I want the wing to look just like the other wing, like it wasn't repaired. So I'm gonna use the same technique. Their fabric rivets that he bought is a little different than AirTech's. We have ours special made with a little wider top, and we also have them made to where they're not cupped down to have that cookie cutter effect. So it's a special rivet that we use, and it won't cut the fabric or doesn't have that cup down effect to it. But anyhow, that's why I'm using this. Our art reinforcement tape is a lot like polyfiber, superflight, and a lot of the others. I've used all of them. I like them, and most of them have a sticky backing that puts it down. A lot of times I like to put just a brush of glue after I've already did all the stitching, and all the stretching, and everything is moving over the rib. Before I cover the wing, I put a bed of glue down, and once everything is done, stretched and moved around, I'll kind of activate that with a little glue, and a lot of people call it plasticizing or whatever, like where you're going to make a cut so it don't ravel. But what I like is this raw Dacron stuff sometimes doesn't stick good, but if you just wet that and let it dry, it makes for a base that's a lot easier for this stuff to stick to. And that's what I'm not most of the time using. At this point, if you're a first-time builder and you're building a kit, now's not the time to be going in and drilling your holes. You should have had all those holes drilled and deburred and everything. I've seen people drill right through the fabric and marking their holes at this point. Now they got a wing full of shavings and stuff. So that's just kind of a given that you'll already have those holes deburred and everything. The normal thing to do if they're already drilled is to want to poke a hole in the fabric. Well, in a sense, I actually poked a hole in the fabric. But way AirTech primer, it has a good filling property. I'll never see that hole I moved it in, because I really didn't poke a hole. All I did was separate the fibers of the fabric and poke that in. But when you put this little bit of glue down, like if I was going to stitch this, by putting that glue down when you poke the hole, it leaves a little hole. And I like to mark exactly where my stitching's going to be. Actually, we'll do the root rib and the other end, and we'll pop strings across. And I like to go ahead and if it's already had that glue on it, find the edge, and when you poke that hole, that way when you're stitching and going under and over, and you can look down through that hole, and you have those holes already there for when you're stitching. Let's see, next part is the gluing that rib down before we're going to drill. You've already got these holes. Another thing is if you don't glue that down sometimes and you go and drill all of your holes in the fabric or poke your holes in the fabric, this fabric could slide or move or anything, and that's why I like just putting a little bit of that glue down to lock that rib. One little thing before you start doing your holes, now I use a large light. This is just a little hand light just to show. You can lay a large light on the floor and you'll see through and see where your holes are at. So if you leave a light on the floor, you can see up through a lot, everything that's going to be going on. I don't like to, some people will just poke a hole in this or try to drill it. What I like to do is get an old wood burner and just build you an end or something on it that's the right size, and keep it in a place. This ain't a good place, but some place where it ain't gonna fall off and burn anything. But when you do that, let me change sides here. Put that down where I can see. When you do it that way, when you come up to one of these holes, it just burns a perfect little hole, and it seals that fabric. It's not gonna ravel, and you can just have a burner sitting there and do one at a time, put your rivet in, and everything works real well. Going down through and just using that little burning spot, and it seals it up and makes for a clean hole. And there's 50 other ways, 50 other people do it. That's just the way I do it, and it works real fast. Thank you.